one of the things that has bothered me over the years as I've watched this political scene unfold, Democrats stand by their principles, which are liberal and anti-American. Republicans espouse conservative principles and constitutional principles, but when they are elected, they don't stand by those principles. And they cave, or they turn, or they're silent. And the liberals have taken over this country. And our Constitution is threatened by them. And you're running as a Republican, and my fear is that you'll tell us that you're conservative, you stand on constitutional principles, but then when you actually go to Washington, D.C., we're not going to hear from you again. And we're not going to see you fighting openly and articulately for those principles. This is my biggest concern.
Have you by any chance been able to read any of my speeches?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I mean, I would really direct you to the website. I've got those things up. I mean, how this all came about. I mean, how I captured the endorsement of the Republican Party. Let me just talk a little bit about why I went for the endorsement. Why I decided to join the Republican Party base then. I donated to candidates in the past. You need a structure. I mean, bottom line is we've got a two-party system here. When conservatives are divided, we end up with Al Franken as a senator. Okay, we end up with Bill Clinton as president. If you read my speeches, you read my first Tea Party speech, and that's really about defending producers of America. I mean, I wasn't thinking about running for. Okay, I will say, by the time I gave my Lincoln Day dinner speech in March, yeah, I started talking to people. I was still a month, almost 2 months away from deciding to actually run. But sure, it was more than just a little, seedling in my brain. Mm-hmm. But what I laid out in my Lincoln Day dinner speech was I conveyed what I've seen in my history. Mm-hmm. Going back to the social unrest of the '60s, and Jimmy Carter's malaise speech, and Ronald Reagan, the breadth of freedom we experienced under Ronald Reagan, the prosperity. And then what I laid out was where I saw it all went wrong. What the liberals did is they were very successful at taking over the levers of power, really. I mean, they took over within the universities, they took over the schools of journalism, education, and law. And as a result, they exert far greater influence over our politics than I think their ideas ever would within basically a center-right type of nation. And they've entrenched themselves there. So when you control the media, when you control our courts, okay, and when you control education, you are in very serious control of the situation. Okay, I'm outraged by that. I mean, I don't want to name names, but I don't like rhinos. I mean, there's nothing I find more aggravating when what is considered bipartisan is when a Republican goes all the way over to the liberal side and go, oh, okay, now I've got a bipartisan bill. Mm-hmm. No, I mean that is incredibly aggravating to me. Again, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this to join the club. This is not my wife's ambition. I'm doing this because I fear for our country. I'll go back again. I mean, the deep reverence I have for what we've been given here and how it's being squandered. I mean, that's just not. It's not idle chatter from mine. That's what I truly believe. That's coming from my inner core.
Do you think there are others?
I just want to say I want to appreciate your response. I do appreciate that. But on the other hand, if you hold to those values, you're going to come under intense pressure, not only from the opposition side, but also within your own party. And it's going to be difficult. So,
in most situations, I've always been sort of the rabble rouser. Whatever board I'm on or whatever, so I don't know. I'm kind of a big guy. I'm a big boy.
Just exactly, how do we find your website?
It's ronjohnsonforsenate.com. And it's being developed. I mean, this is happening very fast. I mean, this is just this is happening very fast. I mean, we really kind of thought we'd be in a primary here. And,
the other question, more or less, is a little vague. But for the last 100 years, we've observed Republican parties and Democratic parties come and go and change their shirts like dirty shirts in terms of Washington politics. But government policies have stayed the same. Have you ever wondered why?
Sure. I mean, do I have the exact answer? Do you?
No, I don't expect an exact answer, but I'm wondering how much thought have you really given to why that is? This is not a conspiracy concept. This is historical record.
I'll tell you what I think my conclusion is government has taken so much onto itself. It has gained so much power. I mean, I was asked the other day about, well, what do you think about lobbyists? You know, I think we as individuals have the right to petition the government to redress things based on the organization we're in with. The problem is the government's taken on the power that forces people to go contact them and try and, slough off the rules and regulations that they may be imposing on a particular sector. Okay, so in my mind, the real culprit here is just the overstepping of the powers of the federal government over the decades, and they've just taken on way too much power.
Would you say that's a breakdown in our democracy?
Yeah. It's what threatens our democracy.
In our what?
Republic.
Thank you.
Okay.